What if the exhaustion you're feeling isn't a failure, but a signal? What if your body isn't betraying but protecting you? So many women in their 40s, 50s, and early 60s tell me the same thing. I used to be high performing, I could handle everything, and suddenly I can't. Today's conversation is for a woman who's asking herself, is it burnout? Is it hormones? Is it stress? Or is my life asking me to change? So, my guest today helps women navigate one of the hardest decisions they are ever faced, whether to step away from work through the previous work that they don't feel passionate about anymore, or what comes next. Tina Bowen's work sits at the intersection of identity, health, and clarity, exactly where many midlife women find themselves today. Well, Tina, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your passion, and how you come to do your work today.
Hello, Evelyn. First, I wanted to take a moment and just thank you for inviting me to spend this time with you. It is my pleasure to be here and have this conversation. My passion is about helping women to find their true sense, their true identity, to really help them to develop their true life. I like to say, find your true life. And so many of us get on a treadmill where we're we go to school, maybe we go to college, we get the job, we do something. We may even love the thing that we're doing, and we keep doing it, and we get known for it. We may be known even as an expert in it. But after a while, when we've been doing it for maybe a few decades, this thing that we might have been so passionate about years ago is all of a sudden we realize just not feeding our soul anymore. But you know what? There's so much momentum behind that identity. Sometimes we don't even notice the signals when they start showing up saying, pay attention to me. This might not be the right fit anymore.
Yeah, it's similar to what the life event that I'm doing right now is about. Your body is responding to what the voice is saying very loud because there's some trigger, there's some emotion that was leveling up to the surface. So therefore it requires some change. So it sounds like you went through some personal experience or stories that leading to doing what you're doing. Tell us a little bit more about that. What leading to that decision?
Well, really, it's a parallel to what I help other people to discover in themselves now. And long story short, for decades, I worked in the live events field, and it was my passion. I'd been doing it since I was very young, helping in the background, technical theater, event production. I loved it. I felt so blessed that here I was working as a professional in a great job, able to really do something that meant so much to me. By the time COVID hit and there were no
Mhm.
more live events, I realized when, for the first time in my professional career, that crazy pace hamster wheel stopped.
Mm,
I said, wow, I don't ever want to go back to that pace again. Well, fast
mhm.
forward, we got out of COVID, and I, it got even harder to do live events than it had been before. And that little voice that had been saying to me, I don't want to keep doing this. I just put that to the side. This is what I do. This is who I am. Just keep going for it. Eventually, that voice got louder and louder until I had to listen. And being forced to listen to that voice was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was an opportunity for me to say, you said you didn't want to keep doing this, but I didn't know what else to do. And even when I thought I knew what else to do, I was like, yeah, but that'll happen another time in my life. Well, it all came to a head in the perfect way for me. And I decided to make a conscious
Mm.
departure, a conscious separation from the identity that I'd been known at my whole adult life. And I am so happy that I finally listened and that I did it. And now that I experienced that joy of that transition, now that it's happened to me, I realized, oh, I didn't have to be so afraid of what was coming. And
Yeah.
I want to help other women to learn that they can listen to that little voice inside and actually act on that and find the joy that comes from making those decisions to do something different than what you've always done.
Wow, that's so powerful. Yeah, I'm glad that you talk about the awareness in the very beginning of your voice getting louder and being forced to listen to voice. I love that statement because COVID happened and not everyone have a good life or even like surviving through the COVID. It was rough. Relationship, finance, and everything can be a very pain point that people feel like, oh my God, I'm changing, I'm not ready. Uncertainty. It's a lot of uncertainty. And I appreciate talk about conscious choice. So tell us a little bit about for the audience as well. I can imagine life change after a very hard event happened to the whole world that impact our personal life. Where do you notice the uncertainty coming in that leading to the joy? Could that can be a very big gap? And for people to coming from that awareness to listen to their own mind and body to feel joyful afterward is a lot of internal work. Yeah.
So, what I really want to acknowledge, first of all, is that so many of us live our lives on this treadmill, if you will.
Mm,
There's so much momentum behind doing what we have always done. It can be really hard to break that cycle because it's what we're used to doing, it's what we're known for doing. There's a well worn groove to our life.
mm,
So change can feel really hard, even if you start to notice those signals about maybe you want some change, because the force of the momentum behind that direction that we're moving in is enormous. So I really want to acknowledge that as a place where a lot of people are starting from. Even if you think you might want to do something else, that's something you have to address. This is why I think working with a coach is really important, because if you have enough of an inkling to say something doesn't feel right, then you don't have to try to figure it all out on your own. A coach is someone who can help you to tease out those little threads and figure out how to re-steer your ship, if you will, and choose a new direction without the scariness of, if you've got momentum and you're going down the highway at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, and whatever, how fast you drive down your highway, and you think you want to make a change, boy, you need to slow down if you're going to take an exit ramp, right? But sometimes
right.
you don't even know which exit you want to take. So again, working with a coach is somebody you can be like, I don't think I want to keep driving in this direction, but I need help figuring out where I do want to drive to that's different from where I've always driven to. And I need
Yeah.
help and guidance. And then I need help slowing down so I can actually take that curve without flipping over and crashing.
Well, thank you so much for pointing that out about a guidance about someone else can reflect back what you or the audience may feel and ask a better question. So therefore the clarity will come. Those uncertainty will happen. But if we don't have clarity, then if we take a turn, go too fast, off the track, then potentially got spin and have no
Yep.
idea where the joy come from, or do we curse ourselves by taking that decision? Yeah. So thanks for mentioning that. And I'm curious, why would you think this conversation is so urgent right now at this moment for people out there um, to make that conscious choice for changes?
I can tell you right away.
Yeah.
So many of us are feeling unsettled inside. There's so
Hmm.
much changing in the world outside of us. And as I'm sure you can speak to very well, when we're no longer acting in alignment with who we truly are and want to be, that internal stress from doing the same thing that we've always done over and over again because it's the easy choice to make, that stress, again, as you well know, takes a physical toll on our bodies. It takes a toll on us
Hmm.
mentally, emotionally, and physically. The physiological implications of stress are debilitating. It leads to many chronic diseases. Again, I'm sure you can speak to that very clearly.
Yeah.
And we're making ourselves sick. So while there may be fear of change, just staying in the same place is not, it's not just status quo. It is actually, it's hurting us. It is contributing with many other factors to disease because, for example, let's say you're really stressed out at work. You're not eating well. you're not sleeping well, it impacts all of that. Your hormones start going, you're stressed out, you're tense, you're not feeling good about yourself. You just want that candy bar or that comfort food or whatever it is. And then you start to feel sluggish, and then you really need to sleep, but then you're scrolling on your phone, and then you're up till all hours of the night, but you still got to get up and go to work the next day. It is a vicious cycle. And it really shows us there's something we're not tuning into, we're not aware of, we're not aligned with who we truly want to be. Because I'll tell you something, Evelyn, we know it when we're on our path. And there's something so life-giving and life-affirming that it changes us biologically from producing those hormones of stress to that rest, repair, that growth, that regeneration, that joy that equals health. And I am
Yeah.
so committed to that. And I think it's so important to help other women to realize that too, because you know what? Most of us don't even know that it's even possible to feel that level of joy. But once you
Yeah.
know, like I want some of that.
Yeah, thank you so much for connecting all the dots together. Like this morning for the live event, I talked about the triangle of the pattern where cortisol is stress. And
Hmm.
if we're not aligned with the balance and what we want to do in life, then the stress will also go up. And also the demand of life, like relationship, kids, children, aging parent, all of those can really stack up and things can be out of whack. And when the cortisol level go up, the sugar plus sugar will be like very unstable and fluctuate and also leading to the nervous system not feeling safety, so therefore the uncertainty will kick in and everything else like got shaken. This is like a building that got shaking foundation, therefore nothing really hold on for a long time. And I wish you talk about the physical implications because those does directly coming from what we think about, how we want our life and direction to be, that will leading to how our body will also respond. Yeah. What are some of the like practical, let's say people who are still love what they do, like you talk about the momentum behind it.
Hmm.
And back then you love what you do, but because of life events occur, then everything changed because the way that you function in the past did not align or the same as the way you function forward. Yeah.
So in terms of again, repeating those patterns, and I hope this is answering your question. If not, please, let me know, redirect me. But even if we start off doing something that we love and we're really passionate about, and it really feeds our soul, if things don't grow with us, or if things don't grow with us, if there's a sameness to it, something will become stale about it. I mean, I
Yeah.
truly believe that as human beings, we are meant to continuously evolve and grow. If we don't keep finding that challenge and meeting that challenge and rising to the new circumstances, again, we're going to fall into that pattern of stress. Now, it could be that we're doing our best and we're meeting things as best we can, but look at the world we live in today. There's so much that has changed in the past few years about how things are showing up in the world around us that are maybe not something that we're doing, but it's happening around us and it's having an impact on us. So even if we're going along fine, things could change in the outer world that change all of a sudden how we have to do the work that we've been doing, even if we've loved it all along. So
Yeah.
it's really important that we make sure that we continue to be in alignment with what it is that we want to do, how we want to do it, and do it in a way, given the context that we find ourselves in, that still sustains us.
True.
So when it no longer sustains us, again, so often in life, it's easy to be impacted negatively by the factors that we encounter. So, one of the critical things that really helps is having a changed mindset. Mindset
Hmm.
is often considered the foundation of change, and it truly is. It's very important because when we stop seeing ourselves as victims of the circumstances outside of our control around us, and we take control of the things that we can control, which is our response to those things, That's when we take our power back by controlling what we can control, letting
Mm-hmm.
go of trying to change the things that we can't change, and figuring out, where is my agency? Where do I have a sense of empowerment? It could be very small, but small could be extremely meaningful and can help us keep us aligned towards our health instead of towards, despair and uh, victim mentality and, a sensation that everything is going wrong. And how often do we hear in this world around us with so much changing on such deep critical levels, things that had been just solid before, just feel like, where'd this come from? How did we get here? Whatever your perspectives are, things are shifting and changing everywhere. When we
Mm-hmm.
realize the power that we have internally to respond in ways that support who we are, that sense of empowerment is priceless. The feeling that we are victims to circumstances around us is one of the fastest ways to make yourself sick, really. I mean, that's as simple as that. And nobody's doing
Yeah.
it to themselves on purpose. No one's doing that on purpose. It's just the way we're brought up and raised. But realizing that we can do things differently, and sometimes it's a 2 millimeter shift that makes that difference, is
Yeah.
imp- the empowerment that one feels from that is priceless. It is priceless.
Yeah. Thank you so much for talking about that part about brought up and raised, and also the thing 2 millimeter that we can be in control. Because in my work, I have to screen anybody through any childhood trauma or experiences that inflict pain and scars upon them, and they have to go through so many antidepressants, counseling, therapy, changing different medication, and to numb themselves, not to feel the emotion because the emotion is too hard. And a similar thing with a PTSD for veterans. Those are very difficult, very, very dark, difficult thing. And those are the things where we didn't have control over. A child was young, all they can control is whatever they see in the world. They learn from that learned behavior from the adults, or even adults go to war. They learn from what the war bring them. Because my grandpa was in a war back in the day, and is truly gives me, even I'm the two generation after, the intergenerational trauma, where I just want to know what happened. Like the more I ask the question, the more I should not ask the question because I just dig a hole inside there and just deep inside that. And the community just doesn't want to know, doesn't want to talk about it
Right,
anymore.
right.
And I, at that time, I know what I control is a story. I didn't learn how to regulate that emotion yet when I was younger. So that was a big thing that you mentioned about brought up and raised. Yesterday, the day before, I actually have a client. She shared a story about the childhood trauma, but also she also have ADHD. Tried so many meds like clonidine, different type of Adderall, but nothing really stick. It's just like keep trying, like a trial in the psychiatric therapy, and she still feel like it's in a trial for her. So that uncertainty keeps lingering and go longer until recently in the community that we live in, there's so many embodiment practice, yoga, qigong, tai chi, and I asked her, hey, do you feel as if when you go through these hard work to look internally deeper than what medication band-aid the symptoms? And do you notice these thing release? And when we work deeper, the thing release is the energy instead of being stagnant, or she said emotional constipation. I love that word.
Yes, yes, I do too. That's
Yeah,
great.
and it manifests to joint pain, achy, feeling brain fog, and it's just a deep emotion when you think about it. She's like, "Oh no, not ready." Like, want to work through that? No, I'm not ready. It creates such that sensitivity of where the safe and comfort zone to step over, and when the breakthrough can happen, and especially when community is around, we would feel safer, and someone would catch us instead of doing everything alone without a coach when things support, we would internalize things and the world become darker and more and less motivation. Yeah. So this conversation is very, very helpful for a lot of people out there. Yeah.
So there are two things in particular. You said a lot of great things there, but two things in particular that I really want to pull on. And I truly believe that all these different forms of dis-ease really have to do at on a very core level as an energy blockage. Now that can sound very
Hmm.
woo-woo, new age. What does that mean? There's definitely 100% a place for Western medicine and for pharmacological assistance, as appropriate, and therapies and all of that. Many positive benefits, those things. But on a deeper core level, this goes into quantum physics and everything else. We're all energy. We again go research quantum physics and you can understand this. Everything's happening on an energetic level. Let's say that's one of the many levels in which we show up. So our hormones are an issue, how much we're sleeping, our diet has a huge impact, our thoughts have a huge impact, our emotions, the patterns that we have in our body through our repetitive thoughts, through the story we tell ourselves. Ultimately, there's a point at its core essence where it all comes down to energy blockages. And there are many ways to free that up. But doing
Yeah.
embodied somatic practices are
Yeah.
one of the most effective ways that I've been finding as well, too, because while understanding intellectually what the source of an issue may be, that alone isn't going to fix it. We're not going to think ourselves out of our problems. So that leads me to the next point that you made that I think is so vital to really emphasize, which you talked about community, doing our healing in community. This doesn't mean that you have to be in a large group of people all going through the same thing. But I'll tell you, every time I've experienced some type of healing where I'm working with others who are also going through similar challenges, it's like I want to say magic, but it's really the collective energy, the collective intention. There's something about, definitely about not trying to do it alone and
Yeah.
wanting to do it alone. There are different personalities that approach healing in different ways, but it is my perception, at least from my perspective, that trying to do it alone is a trust issue or a protective
Hmm.
defensive barrier to a degree, and that can be part of someone's story, and that's as legitimate as anything else. But the growth that I've seen happen in a community, I think it has to do with seeing others role models who may be a little bit farther along, who can help model what the next step and the next step and the next step and what healing actually can look like. And even if your community is just one other person, again, in the example of working with a coach, not trying to do it alone is so important because the act of being on the inside of whatever our challenges can make it very hard to move ourselves to the next step. Again, not that it can't be
Yeah.
done. And we have to do the work, whatever that work is, we have to do that releasing. But I feel like it's not meant to be done in isolation because I also believe we
Yeah.
are all connected. And as we each individually heal, we help heal others around us too.
Wow, that's beautiful and very well said. Thank you so much. And for the audience, embodiment, the meaning of that is embody movement. So we can just move that quantum physics, you talk about energy, and relocate or channel in that balance. We can hold all the energy in, or we can exchange the energy among the community, or let it release outside. So we can have space to grow positive energy. And the word somatic meaning the body. Whatever practice we do, the body does store those energy like organs. I remember a class is a provider that he also talked about the longevity and he say every organ in your body has a certain biological clock. And that clock does have that energy, that mitochondria to build that up. So that was a great conversation that we had. Any golden nuggets, any practical tips that you would give advice for the audience who are going through this process where they think, oh, I love my work, but it kind of strained it too much. It's different from what I used to do, etc. What would you give them some suggestion?
I think it's really key for us to tap into our inner knowing that
Mm,
let's just say somebody's hearing this conversation and they weren't even previously aware that this might apply to them,
yeah,
but hearing this concept and this topic and this subject just kind of raises their eyebrow a bit, and just there's a little bit of intrigue of like, I hadn't thought of that before. Pay attention to that. I think we know more and are more aware of what we need than we're aware of that we need, if that makes sense. So I think
yeah,
just noticing where something might catch our eye or catch our ear, something where we're like, that sounds interesting. There might be something to that. And if you're already getting that inner sense of something's not feeling right, please don't ignore it. It may not be convenient to pay attention to it. It may feel like, oh, not now. I can't do this. And if you can't, trust me, if there's really something there, it will show up for you.
yeah,
Let me tell you, I know that that's true, but we can avoid some of that craziness if we can listen to it when the voice is a little bit smaller. But you know what? If we're not ready, self compassion, that's okay too. At some point when we are ready, it will show up. And you can also know, rest assured, that if you keep sweeping it aside, it won't go away. That's not a scary thing. If you're not ready to handle it, it will show up at some point to be dealt with. Now, here's the other thing that I think is so important, and I've alluded to this already, but it's critical.
hmm,
Don't go through the journey of change alone. There are things that only you can do, but you don't have to do it alone. Do it with a guide, a coach, a mentor, a teacher, someone who has walked a similar path before you. I can't tell you just how strongly I believe in the power of mentorship and coaching. Again, it can make something that feels very scary actually feel doable and possible. And you can save time, money, effort, worry. You can save yourself so much trauma and loss and all of that potentially
true.
by having someone there with you as you go through your journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your wisdom. Those are important about not doing it alone. I think I was in that boat before where doing the entrepreneur, have private practice and like, oh my God, this thing, what do we do? Yeah, didn't go to school for this skill. But here we are. We do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're taught though? We're taught to be that A type personality, that you're the winner if you succeed. That whole really so much of the American ethos is based on the Marlboro Man image of the self-made independent person. Let me tell you, self-made ain't self-made. Now you can bootstrap yourself and you can do a lot of work, but at some point, how you exist in the world is supported by the work that other people are doing too. Again, it could be as basic as the car that you drive, if you drive a car, the roads that you drive on, the food that you get in the store, or maybe you're going, something in your life is connected to efforts that other people are doing. So realizing that interdependence is
Yeah.
I think that's where we're going as a society. That while it seems like we're focusing even more and more about it's all about me, I I tell you with full faith that soon enough we're going to realize that interdependence in a way that actually lifts us all up to a much better place.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that's similar to what I'm going in the community for networking to collaborate with different practitioners and I realize that everyone has a similar goal for the community to get better in health, in business, in life, etc. All of these resources are out there. We just need to ask to see and keep knocking on the door. The answer will show up one way or another.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So for the audience, if this conversation resonated with you, I want you to know that you don't have to figure this all out alone and continue to share, to listen, to rewatch so everyone can benefit from this conversation. So Tina, tell our listener how they can learn more about your work, how they can find you, how can they work with you.
Very easily. just go to yourtrue.life. Go to that URL, yourtrue.life, and that's where your true life begins.
Thank you. I will put the link in the description as well for everyone to know. And also for anyone else, I do weekly live session on Thursday. So therefore you can also join that session to learn more about what we create. And also there will be like a 7-day health jump start that you can really start taking the action today as soon as you would like to. So if your body is asking to pause, to listen, pausing doesn't mean you're done. It may mean you're finally beginning. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Tina.
Evelyn. Pleasure spending this time with you. And I want to thank you for what you're doing in the world. It is so critical at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Best wishes for you too.